Hello, everyone. This is Toni Weel from a cool but very sunny Florida. Love it. Absolutely love it. This is the type of weather you can sit outside in the sun and not feel like you're sitting in a sauna. Okay, there was something. Yeah, of course, we have. I've always. Sorry about that, Gary and Katie. I wanted to jump right in about what I was going to talk about, but I do have to let you guys know we have Gary Parent with us and Katie Meert. Unfortunately, Sarah was traveling, so she could not be with us today. But and next week we do not have a podcast because it is Thanksgiving, and I think yeah, let's just wait a week and then we'll see each other again in 2 weeks. But for now, we have a really interesting topic, and that all comes from a book that I was pointed to actually, and it is called Vibrant Health from Your Kitchen, Dr. Jensen's Food Guide for Family Health and Well-Being. That is from Dr. Bernard Jensen, and it says he was a clinical nutritionist. I've been going through all of it, and I have, I always, when I read a book, doesn't matter what kind of book it is, I read the intro and I read the end. Crazy, call me crazy. But I want to, with every book, I want to know, what the outcome is, and then I'm going to read how they get to that outcome. So I read the rest of the book. So of course I did it with this book too. And in the meantime, I've read everything inside too. It's not the food advice is not what we would advise for healing, but he was successful with it too, including he has eggs and raw milk and a few other things. I'm like not so sure about that. But then one word was on a page was standing out to me, and that is Qatar. You spell it Catarrh. And I asked Gary if he said, yeah, I've heard of it. But Katie, do you know what Qatar means? If you
I have not heard it. Sorry, it took me a little while to
Yeah,
unmute. I'm on my
that's
phone
okay.
today.
There is a little lag in that's okay. The interesting thing is I had not heard of it. I mean, and I was like, yeah, well, it's my second language, as everybody knows, and that I haven't heard of it. Okay. But then I thought, in the I've been traveling in this country since 81. I've been living here more than 20 years now, and never heard anyone using it. Well, Catarrh actually means a buildup of mucus.
Mm.
And the term Catarrh comes from the Greek words kata, means down, and rain is flow, to flow down, and it refers to the mucus flow produced as a consequence of tissue inflammation and a cleansing taking place. Catarrh precedes the onset of any disease, and it seems as though everyone has it during their growing years. It's a universal symptom, but it's also a condition that people can take care of by themselves through their lifestyle and nutrition. However, the standard response to catarrhal conditions tends to be suppression, stop that flow, which drives it back into the body and prevents it from being expelled. Acidity and catarrh appear during any elimination process. Our body is always eliminating and building.
Mm.
It is perfectly natural for a person to have catarrh to access when not well or whenever any of the elimination channels is not working properly. But we should never suppress a catarrhal discharge. Catarrh is developed when the kidneys are not working well, when the skin is not eliminating to its fullest potential, when, especially, the bowel is not moving along toxic waste as fast as it should, and when the bronchial tract and lung structures are overloaded with pollution and toxic wastes, not expelling them efficiently. The lymph system is also involved in the elimination of catarrh, and it is through the lymph system that catarrh is delivered to other parts and organs in the body. If elimination is blocked or slowed down in any of the elimination channels, the catarrh may be forced to settle in inherently weak organs and tissues and near orifices. I know that's openings, but I don't know how to pronounce it, where this excess could be eliminated naturally. Chronic sinus catarrh is always associated with bronchial and lung catarrh. Now he goes on to sources of pollution in the body, but I want to give an idea about what is like catarrh of the stomach is called gastritis. Catarrh of the mouth called stomatitis. Yes. Catarrh of the throat is called diphtheritis. Catarrh of the nose called rhinitis. And then you have it, catarrh of the bronchitis, hay fever, asthma, etc. And so it's on and on, like catarrh of the large intestine is called colitis. Catarrh of the appendix is called appendicitis. Hey, I pronounced that one correctly. Catarrh of the liver called hepatitis, and in catarrh of the pancreas is called pancreatitis, and on and on and on and on. So even catarrh of the joints called arthritis. So I found that so interesting that we and a word that is, I think, more known maybe many years ago. But Gary, you and I are about of the same age, and you're American, and you have well barely heard it being
Right.
used.
I've heard of it, but I had no idea what it was. And
It's
all those
all
are
the
issues.
yeah. It's all the things that what Dr. Morse said, if it ends with itis, it's an inflammation, and
Right.
but
Right.
that it actually has to do with a build up of mucus, because that is what it is. It's a build up of mucus in a weak area. And then let me see, it's like yeah, he says the above list serves to show how medical institutions name inflammation symptoms according to their location and treat each symptom as a different disease while disregarding the cause. It also shows the slow and steady progress of what becomes a chronic condition that finally affects every organ, structure, and function in the body. When the health levels improve as a result of changing to a right way of living, all tissues and organs cooperate in strengthening the weaker tissue in which suppressed materials have been stored. The stored toxic materials begin to be activated, moistened, liquefied again as the body was being reversed to the same condition of illness or disease as before. This is actually what happens in the reversal process. And that is what we nowadays call the detox. He never ever mentions the word detox, by the way. Sometimes we bring back our old problems because as we have built up our bodies towards disease, there has to be a return towards good health. Now, he mentioned Hering's Law. Have you heard of that?
What is it?
Hering's Law. That is
Herring's Law?
Yeah,
No.
Hering's Law.
No.
And he says, we follow a law that all disease is corrected from within out, from the head down, and in reverse order as we have built it up in the body. It has been said that we suffer the sins of our past. If we have built up one shoulder on coffee and donuts and the other on creamed wheat, if we have built our left knee on pancakes and the right knee on devil's food cake, then we have to cleanse these things from the body by the reversal process before we can build better tissue with better foods. This process is called the reversal process, and it works exactly as described. It may seem surprising that as we get healthier, we work our way back to symptoms of old illnesses, conditions, pains, and diseases. But that is nature's way of healing. Food does not cure disease. It supplies building materials to make new tissue and chemicals to restore chemical balances in the body. If a balanced supply of nutrients is provided in the proper foods, the new tissue will be healthy, normal tissue where disease cannot exist. When the body is balanced chemically, normal function is restored, and the elimination of old catarrh and wastes in the healing crisis is a sign that this tissue renewal is taking place as predicted by Hering's law. In the reversal process, we retrace our way back from the most recent to the most distant illness and relieve old symptoms while the toxins and wastes that were suppressed years ago are finally liquefied and expelled from the body. This is an organized system. It's not a fly-by-night idea. This works, and everyone who follows this program will find out that it works. So what's your take on that? I mean, I think it was very easily described, and I'm like, yep, that's exactly how it works. We've seen it working that way.
Yes. All your itises are dehydration and lack of oxygen and lack of nutrition. And that's how those organs and glands get weak. We have to remember too that, like we were talking about, say the thyroid has an issue and you've been suppressed and you've been able to speak your truth your whole life. Well, that sends a frequency, a vibration into the throat, into the thyroid. And over time, that frequency is disruptive. The wave is not correct. So it ends up causing issues with the thyroid. And it can be the parathyroid, it can be anything. But anything in the throat that is suppressed because you're not able to speak your truth, or you believe the lies you were told about yourself when you were too young to defend yourself, that's causing suppression and in the throat because of the wave, the frequency is off. So as you learn to, one way to get rid of that, and I've done this with for a lot of people, is I have them hold a pillow and scream into the pillow. You get the thought going, the person, because that person may not even be alive, but their voice is still in here and it's in here. And as you speak that, or as you move through life, we've talked about this before. If you take your hands and put them like this and put your thumb right at the base of your skull and move your eyes around, you can feel muscles working back here. Well, your emotions are trapped in the muscles on this right beside each side of the spine, the spinal column. And your eyes are constantly looking at what's in front of it. And if there's something that causes or triggers those emotions, then you have a spike in your emotional response. And it can be crazy. Like you could just be having a conversation with somebody and all of a sudden they get really mad and you don't know why. Well, you hit a trigger in them, and that's deep down inside their body. And it came up through the hearing, but also the sight, the visual there. We're constantly on the lookout so that we don't go beyond what we've been trained to not go beyond, our limitations. And as we release those energies, because they're stuck to us, and we allow them to flow through us, because energy is everywhere, and we're walking through energy, and that energy is going through our body. And when we have a spot where the energy is stuck, it's like it's pushing against it wherever we go, and it can get bigger and bigger, more and more painful. So this can cause a weakness in that tissue. And then, like you said, if the kidneys aren't doing their job, mucus will start to build in the body, and it will go to that weak area, wherever that is, if it's thyroid or liver or whatever. So these are the things that really are important when it comes to detoxing, is understanding that it's hydration, oxygen, and nutrition. And then you need movement, rest. Rest is really important. Grounding to the earth and having a great story where those voices are not inside you anymore. and the emotions can come up through. They went in through the breath, they leave through the breath. So as we've mentioned in other videos, if you're breathing properly, 70% of your detox is through your breath. So as we get things moving in the body and we're going out through the 13 channels of elimination, which our airway is one of those, one of the biggest ones, obviously, at 70%. But if you're shallow breathing, you're not getting rid of the toxins, and they're building in the lungs. And then that causes more congestion through the whole body, because the diaphragm is the pump. We have 3 pumps for lymph. The diaphragm is a major one, and then the balls of our feet as we walk. That's why walking is so good for us. We're breathing in and out through the nose, we're moving the body, and we're pumping all the way up through, because this is gate 1 up here by our neck. And all that lymph has to come up, all those toxins, and go through here. And as far as like weight, our weight goes, when we're overweight or we have a lot of excess weight called fat, inside that are toxins. And the body put it there and wrapped it so that it can't get out into, it's too dangerous for the body. So it's wrapping it in fat and just leaving it there. And so we get bigger and bigger, and that's all mucus and toxins and all those itises you were talking about. So to relieve that, we need to breathe, we need to hydrate. Fruits, berries, melons, even vegetables. Some people are so congested, if they go right into fruit, then they'll have a cold and flu-like symptom, because things are breaking up so fast. It's too fast, and you start to get aches and pains and things. And then when you stop, it goes away, and you blame it on the fruit. Well, it's not the fruit. It's that there's so much congestion in your body, and it's moving so fast doing the fruits, berries, and melons, that it can be very it's not harmful, but it can feel like it's harmful, and when you have a cold, usually it's because your body needs the detox. It needs to eliminate that, so it does it naturally on its own. The other thing is, you get down, you go on a diet, and you get down, and there's 5 or 10 pounds left, and you just can't break that barrier. Well, that's because those toxins that are in there, the body can't eliminate them because they're too dangerous. So it hangs on to it, and you're trying and trying and trying to get down to that goal weight, and you can't do it. So that's how important it is to understand what the toxins in our body, where they're being stored and why they're being stored there. And as you learn to breathe and you get that diaphragm going, and you're walking or you're doing Qigong, and you open up your 6 lymphatic gates and you do your lion's breaths, your whole world will change, because it's helping it eliminate everything that's causing you issues. And I've seen just miraculous things with the Qigong, the hydration, the movement, the rest. We sleep better. If we're moving during the day, we sleep better at night. Get out in the sun. It's not your enemy, like you've been taught. People are like plants, though. Some like shade, some like partial shade, some like full sun. And you have to figure out which one of those you are, but not to be afraid of it. Because if we fear it, we're causing a frequency in our body that's not natural. And to get outside, even if you're sitting under a tree, there's air blowing over you, and you can ground yourself to the earth, and you can read a great story, watch a great story, create a great story of your own, where you're the infinite being, because that's what we are, infinite being, an infinite universe with infinite potential, and a world of abundance taught self-doubt, scarcity, and fear. And those frequencies are low oxygen. We're infinite, and and abundance are high oxygen. It's like laughing is a high oxygen event, and depression is a low oxygen event. So as we learn these and we learn to regulate our breath, and we're eating the fruits, the berries, the melons, even the vegetables, then we stand a much better chance at cleaning that tissue out, cleansing that tissue. And it is mind-boggling. When I mentioned this in a video the other day, the top 3 things that we need to stay alive is, number 1 is oxygen. You only go a few minutes. Water, you'll only go a few days. And the other one we think is food, but it's not. It's rest, it's sleep. They can torture you with food and all that other stuff, but sleep deprivation is what the military uses to torture people, because you get so disoriented. Lights on, lights off, flashing back and forth. You can't tell what day it is, what time it is, and you get that disruption in your system, and it just multiplies more and more. And to think that people do that to other people on purpose is absolutely insanity to me, but they do it. So that's what I would have to say about that. Is cleansing and detoxing are the same thing, but we want to use the whole body. Let's say that there are a lot of chemicals that cause disruption in the body, because it doesn't matter if it's a lemon or a cupcake. It doesn't matter what it is. It's had its own frequency. Some are low frequency and some are high frequency, like grapes. They're one of the highest. Okay. And cooked food has a very low frequency. So that's why we want to always include live, life-giving foods and liquids into our body, because they help to break that up. It takes less energy to digest it. And the energy that is left over, say, a heavy meal takes about 60% of your available energy. Well, if you're eating grapes, they have their own enzymes and electrolytes and things. So they're charging the body and they're helping the digestive system. So it might go from 60% with a heavy meal all the way down to maybe 10 or 15%, maybe 20. When you're eating fruits, berries, and melons. Vegetables, I think that would take a little bit more energy to process that. But that's what we are. We're just a big giant processing machine. Okay. And it takes air, and it takes hydration, and it takes nutrients, and it takes movement and rest. And a great story. Like, when you're an infinite being in an infinite universe, what can't you do? There isn't anything you can't do. And we do that through our story, because life is a mirror reflection. And when it reflects back on us, it's reflecting our intention that we're saying in our story. Because memory is not here, it's out there. It's in the water. So these are the things, we're not resting. We're mentally just thriving all the time. It's like 110%, 120%. What are you doing resting? You need to get back to work. All these things. And then we end up driving ourselves. And if we're not driving ourselves enough, somebody else will be there to make sure that we do. So just to relax, to go from a high energetic elimination to a low, very calm, I'm talking about the mind right now, very calm. We're conscious of our breath, and all these toxins are in these foods. Our body is having a hard time handling it. So that's why we do the manual part and the breath, and that moves that stuff out, because it's collecting faster than the body can eliminate it. And this is what happens when we have cold and flu-like symptoms. is it's breaking more things loose than the body can eliminate at that time. It's kind of like people who play sports and they say football and they have double sessions, right? Well, if you've had a whole season off and you go back and you start doing double sessions, your muscles are going to fill with lactic acid because there's not enough oxygen going in the body and it's not pumping enough to eliminate that acid. So you get sore. It's inflammation in the body. But after you go through the 2 weeks, all of a sudden your body's able to eliminate as much toxic waste or lactic acid as the body is producing, so you don't get tired anymore. Same thing with detoxing. That's what lactic acid is. It's an acid, and as we join these double sessions, right, all of a sudden the body gets so that it can eliminate it as fast as it's coming in. So when we're doing fruits, berries, and melons, we're breaking things loose. And that's why Dr. Morse is always talking about you have a choice. You can slow down or you can drive through it. Well, that's what double sessions are. They're driving you through it. But it's a whole lot different than backing off. And it takes a lot of determination to do that. But you will be the winner at the end of that, because you'll get your health back. All that mucus that's stuck through the body will start to eliminate, and everything will start to get stronger through the eliminative process. And talking about, it's not the food that we eat that makes us healthy. We eat it, and there's a methylation process. I've talked about this many times. So that methylation process takes the raw food we eat and breaks it down into usable fuel. But if you're eating a lot of cooked foods, there's not a lot there for it to pull out. And the rest of it has to be eliminated through the 13 channels of elimination. So that process, if it gets interrupted, you have things like upset stomach. You have acid reflux, which is not actually acid, it's the lack of acid. And there's a valve on top of our stomach. And even though that the stomach doesn't have enough acid to process the food properly, the pressure pops that gate open and it's too acidic. And as it goes up into the esophagus, it burns because the esophagus is at a different pH than even the stomach when it's not able to process properly because there's not enough acid there. So that's what acid reflux is. There's not enough acid. So when you take a Rolaids or something like that, a Tums, you actually kill all the acid in the stomach. The acid reflux goes away, and then you start building on again. So if you're on Rolaids or Tums all the time, then you have a real big stomach issue that needs to be addressed. And a lot of that is your diet. Okay, that was a long answer.
Yeah, I got something that I wanted to read too, because it is exactly what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jensen said almost any chemical or drug trapped in the body tissues can be eliminated through the reversal process.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the reversal process is a readjustment to normal in the body and a call to a better cell activity. Nutrition is the greatest aid we have in eliminating the old and taking on the new. The immune system and our resistance to disease are built up when we use the best nutrition possible along with a good lifestyle. Well, we always talk about the lifestyle. It's the grounding, it's taking the rest, the correct breathing, the best water, enough water, and what you mentioned, what we always talk about is get your lymph flowing.
Yeah.
And but then when we follow the path of good health, every organ and tissue in the body begins to be strengthened and renewed. The stronger ones support the inherently weak tissue until a point is reached when the healing powers within eliminate the stored up catarrh mucus, toxic material, old drug residue, and pollutants. Health is worked for, it is earned, it is learned. When we begin to eliminate this old material, we have reached what is called a healing crisis. This is the crowned reward of our efforts of spontaneous and natural cleansing of the tissues of the body. Unlike a disease crisis in which symptoms show that a toxic acid condition is developing in the body and the body is coping with the development of a disease, a healing crisis shows that all toxins are leaving, never to return if a person continues living right.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it resembles in every way a disease crisis. The healing crisis is the return of a problem you have had in the past. Old symptoms return. There may be singly or in combination vomiting, diarrhea, fever, rash, skin eruptions, discharges from any or every opening of the body for about 3 days. Then it is gone and our body is much cleaner. This is nature's way of cleansing and healing. During the healing crisis, you should rest as much as possible, taking only a little broth, vegetable juice, or chlorophyll and water now and then. This healing crisis comes when we follow the right nutritional way and in the new lifestyle path. The main way to tell the difference between a disease crisis and a healing crisis is that a healing crisis usually comes right at the time when we have never felt better. One day we are walking on cloud 9, the next day we are flat on our back feeling miserable. This is usually a healing crisis. It took energy to have this crisis, and you have built up a body to have this elimination take place. The reason a person goes through this suffering period and elimination period is because he or she has accumulated enough energy through right living to bring on the healing crisis. At this moment, all of stored up energy is being used for elimination, so weakness is usually part of the process. This is an orderly program, following a natural law process. It comes after a person starts a right living program. A healing crisis is a blessed moment in a person's life and should be greatly valued, not considered a detrimental disturbance. I am telling you this ahead of time so you will not try to suppress your symptoms, but allow nature to have its way. We believe in the natural control of disease. Now, this is where people are giving up. And they get so scared with what is happening. They felt so great, and all of a sudden, it's like, what he said. You feel horrible. And hopefully, he says it lasts 3 days. I've known of it lasting longer before it got better. But it is important to know that difference and to know where you're going. I always say that when this happens, embrace it, because you know that you are on the right path. And not to worry when you do know for 100% that you are taking in the correct foods for healing. And he also mentioned that disease preys on a weak and malnourished body. And I hear people saying, yeah, I'm on a healthy diet. And there's nothing else I can do. I exercise, I live healthy. But in the meantime, they have all kinds of symptoms that show me, no, you're not on a healthy diet and you're not on a healthy lifestyle. But sometimes it's really hard to tell people that. I find it really hard. And to get that information out and that people can realize that was not the right path to be on. And, we have been told that eating a salad with chicken is healthy, but it may not be so healthy for you. If you have symptoms and you have disease and your body is weak, then you need to make a change. Go ahead, Gary or Katie.
Yeah, Katie. She's still there.
Yeah, she is. She's muted.
Okay.
and driving. So
Yeah.
yeah, there she is.
I'm sorry. I am just having a really hard time finding that unmute button. Anyways, Gary, go ahead and you can speak to this. This is just wow. Just wow. I'm learning so much right now.
Okay. So if we're having a healing crisis, like I said before, when Dr. Morse talks about the shift choice, in his mind, you push through it, but you can back off a little bit. And how you're going to do that? Because not all foods are going to treat your body the way it treated the person you're following or working beside or living with, or your body is your own signature. And our job is to be explorers, to find out what foods it really thrives on and what foods really diminish its ability to generate energy. Because like I said, we're a processing plant. We generate energy. But if you have a vehicle that runs on gas and you put diesel fuel in it, it's not going to work. Or if you put lower grade fuel in it, or you add something to it that's not combustible, right? Because that's what food is. Food is combustible in the body. If you add something to that fuel, it's not combustible. It's not going to run right. It can't. And you go, well, this is the best fuel that money can buy. Yeah, but it's not working in your vehicle. And this is your vehicle. So we need to be explorers to get that curiosity back that we had when we were kids and when we thought we could do anything. You know why we thought that when we were kids? Because we can do anything. But it gets beat out of us.
Well, and Gary, when you speak about that, like, you really truly have to listen to your body, because there are times when I'm able to drink watermelon juice and I
Yep.
have no complications. And then all of a sudden, one day, or like, let's say I had it for breakfast, and then at lunch, I go to have more watermelon juice. All of a sudden, that watermelon juice just isn't sitting right for me. So then I kind of have to switch it up. But that's me just listening to my body. And
Yes.
that's exactly what you need to do.
Yes. It's so important. Your body is like a million times, maybe even I don't know if you can put a number on it, smarter than the smartest doctor in the world, the smartest nutritionist in the world. And we're trying to force things into it because we think they're healthy because somebody said that. The only true master in what will generate energy in your body is your body. It will tell you. If you're lethargic, there's a reason. Either not getting enough sleep or enough hydration, all that acid like arthritis and gastritis and all. This is lack of proper hydration. So you may be eating right or somewhat right for your body, but you're not getting enough hydration. The body can't function without the right liquid. And we are definitely not having the right liquids. With your Gatorades and your Monster drinks and your 5-hour energy or whatever it is. I don't know what these things are, but they are not what they claim to be, because they're full of caffeine and they pick your adrenals up. They kick them into like passing gear. Well, you can only do that for so long before you start burning them out, just like anything, because they're overworking. And when they're overworking and you think you're doing the right thing, and then all of a sudden you have to have 2 a day and then 4 a day, and then that's because your adrenals are getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and they're not producing the energy you need to get you through your day. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I'm going to stick with. Is anybody there?
Yeah, Katie is still on mute.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Yeah. That's okay. I have a little bit more from Dr.
Yeah,
Jensen. He
I
mentioned,
really like that book. Is it still available?
well, this is a used one, so that was only all that I could get, and they had only one, but I can share.
Mm-hmm.
He says, as we build new tissue, our body organizes and reorganizes its internal functions automatically without much help from the outside. We
Mm.
find that nature does the curing, but the doctor gets the fee. Nature only needs an opportunity, and by giving it this opportunity, the body gets well. The body goes through an organized way of repair and rebuilding. We find, first of all, we have a renewed feeling of well-being. We have a quickened step. We feel good. We feel capable. We have more enthusiasm. Our body is making changes that help us accomplish more and feel more confident. With better health, we can live a good life and have a better marriage, a better sex life, do better work. We
Mm-hmm.
found that our body is now more in tune with nature. It's more in tune with the universal laws that we should be living by in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
We develop a better mental acuity. Acuity. I have not seen that word before. Our hearing may improve, our sight may improve. We find that our tissues are going to respond at a higher level as we seek that higher opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We must keep our body clean because only a clean body can be well. We may go through tissue cleansing. The bowel is cleansed. All elimination channels have been attended to every day. We work with our body in our waking hours. A sluggish, toxic body becomes a body that falls behind. It cannot keep up with the average person. It cannot do what it should be doing. When the tissues are cleansed and we are eating the proper foods, a healing crisis can be expected. You can look to a healthier body to come. You will not be raising your children as doctor's bills. Your husband won't be taking something for a headache every night when he comes home from work. The wife will not have to live on suppressant drugs for catarrh discharges in the body. As the body becomes clean, we begin flowing in good health. No doctor should be object to this state of being. Society should be interested in this. Our hospitals should be teaching this. Doctors should be having classes on how to reach this state of health. What we
Mm-hmm.
need more than anything else is research to how much health we can have in life than rather how much disease we can treat. Wouldn't it be nice to have a diagnostic method giving us our health level of every organ in the body? Now, I believe this is actually where the iridology comes in.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say that. Isn't that interesting that that's what this author is saying? And yet we have it right now, but it's like kind of like that hidden information, but it's coming out. More people are realizing it's all like our body has the ability to know what is going on inside of us. And so I think this is very interesting. And then that this is all coming out. We're all learning about new ways, and a lot of people are starting to question the medical field, but they don't know where to go because they're so used to going to the medical field. But they have this intuition now within them saying, you know what, I'm not really trusting those with the white coats, but I'm not sure where to go.
You know, this book is from April 1986. So
Yeah.
it's not even from today. And he started this intro. His first thing in this book is I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe man wants to do what is right and will, if shown that doing the right thing will result in a better life. I believe that we all have the right to pursue of happiness, but the pursuit of happiness will never be fulfilled unless the pursuit of health goes with it. It is your privilege to seek them. I believe that to attain health and happiness, a person's lifestyle must be approved by the universal God and must be in harmony with natural principles. I believe in a universal consciousness of sharing, love, brotherhood, and peace. I believe we will have peace when people refuse to take a job that will harm another person. I
Mhm.
believe, given a choice of therapies, that the therapy closest to nature will produce the deepest and most lasting tissue correction. I believe that a man who conquers his own hostilities does more than if he conquers a whole city. I believe this book will be a way shower and uplifting experience, bringing us another step toward our final destiny of health, happiness, and the joy of living that all people desire. And that was written by Dr. Bernard Jensen in 86.
That's wonderful. And just think about all those things that he said, I believe, I believe. And that, I mean, for those of us who can see things, we just know that that is exactly where humanity is headed. And it's happening, and it has been happening. But more and more people are waking up to exactly what he's saying is going to happen, that he believes in. And we know that it's happening. So this is very, very exciting. And how lucky for you, Tony, to have found this book.
Mhm.
And I have to thank actually a group that I frequently read everything, and that is the group from oh my gosh, my mind is going blank right now. It is about natural hygiene. And somebody was talking about something similar and then mentioned that book. And I think that he or she actually mentioned it as an ebook. And one said, "Oh, I have the book." And I was right away, well, let's check on Amazon if that book is available. And there was one book. And it is actually Terrain Model Refutes Germ Theory. That group always has a lot of very interesting information in it. They are very much against actually herbs because they feel that they suppress, and I still see it as an high frequency food that we
Mhm.
should not abuse. It's not that the herbs you take for the rest of your life. You take them for
Right.
a very short time and then just stop it, because that is how it was meant to be, and not using it as a constant like people do with pharmaceuticals and even with all kinds of vitamin and mineral supplements.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to address too is like when you have a healing crisis, uh, you get super tired. So that's just your body's natural way telling you you need to slow down and rest. If you really want to heal, you need to slow down and rest. But I had mentioned that before. We're trained to go 110, 120, 150%, and we're just burning ourselves out mentally, physically, spiritually, you know, emotionally, and it's affecting our whole circle of influence because they're all doing the same thing. So, that creates road rage and all these different things, and they're affecting the body because it's a frequency in the body that's disruptive to its natural flow. So when we get tired, if you know that you're gonna that you have to go to work, well, try and detox. It's about every third to fourth, maybe fifth day that you start to get tired. Try to figure it out so that you have a few days or a day or two where you can just lay down and rest. Or maybe go sit in the sun and ground to the earth and snooze, under a tree or whatever, and give your body the rest it needs. That's why it's not healthy. It's not getting what it needs to perform at peak performance. And the other thing is, well, every time that I drink Master Cleanse or water or whatever it is, right? I have to pee every 10 minutes. Well, that's because it's not absorbing. You have a malabsorption issue. Um, so you sip it. You just sip it and wait 5 or 10 minutes. Sip it again. Get hungry, do 3 or 4 good swallows and wait. And if you're still hungry, do 3 or 4 good swallows and wait, like 5-10 minutes. And the hunger will go away. So these are 2 key things. And to keep that breath going in through the nose, out through the mouth, get that diaphragm to drop. 2/3 of your fluid is right here. And when you breathe through your nose, there are neurological things happening all through the whole body, from the brain right into the vagus nerve. This turns on rest, digest, and heal. And that's the parasympathetic. The sympathetic nerve is fight or flight, and that's usually mouth breathers because they can't get back. We're not taught how to do that stuff. The body is an interesting machine. And the toxins that are out there right now, we need to manually take over and help it. And as we help it clean that stuff out, the body gets stronger. The mind gets clearer. Things start to make sense again. You have it's almost like a wall of right around you, where it doesn't matter what comes in, you see it for what it is. It's their issue, not mine. And they're trying to pass that frequency on to me. And if I believe what they're telling me, then I allow that frequency in my body, and it comes in through the breath. So the way to get it out is through the breath, to bring that emotion up. And breathe through the nose. When you blow out, you say, either mentally or physically, you do not belong here. You have not served me. You have not helped me in any way. In fact, you created a limitation, and get out of my body because I don't want you anymore. And get those voices out of your head, or those emotional things that happen to you. It could be physical, or could be something you heard or tasted or smelled or saw. Those are the things that really empower our body, and I've mentioned this many times. In the word heart is ear. It's also art. So it's constantly listening. The heart is constantly listening, and it's storing all that stuff right behind it, up and down our spinal column. And our breath is what regulates all that. So as we learn to breathe and we learn to hydrate, and we're really paying attention to what's helping our body heal internally, it really starts to empower us. If you get a rash on your skin and it's really raw and nasty, the same thing can happen inside your body. You just can't see it, and you really don't feel it. Not until it's at a point where the body is like screaming for help. No different than a baby crying. It can't communicate, where the body is trying to communicate with us 24/7, every moment of every day. And we've just stopped listening, and we've started listening to people that profit from our dis-ease. And if you believe you get what you focus on, and all you study is disease, what do you think you're going to end up with? And then you go into the system that help create it through the chemicals in the foods and stuff, to get help. And what are they doing? They're giving you synthetic medications that cause massive side effects. And one of those side effects is death. And I don't think that's a side effect. I think it's a permanent effect. And there is no such thing as a side effect. They're effects, because the wave that is going through is being disrupted. So this is harmony. This is our wave going through. And when we take these medications, it might be going through like this, and it's disrupting its ability to function properly. It could be the heart, could be the lungs, could be the liver, could be the kidneys, adrenals, because it's all one thing. When we digest food and it goes out into the body, it sends it where it needs to go. But if you have a liver that is sick and is sending information to the brain so the brain can produce things to help it, well, it's not in a state of flow. It's agitated. So it's not creating the right chemicals to send to it to heal it. And it can get worse and worse and worse until we start listening and we start hydrating, we start oxygenating, the clearing the lungs. The oxygen blood transfer, most of it takes place in the bottom of the lungs. The toxins are heavier than the air, so they all settle in the bottom of the lungs. And unless we clean that out through a thing called lion's breath, where we open our throat and we blow out really hard and get those toxins moving, get them up, get them out of the body. Same with the emotional distress that we're in. The breath is so powerful. That's when we start to heal. And that's the power that we have, that we can do things manually. We just take over. Yeah, we breathe automatically, but we do not breathe properly automatically. That's why athletes, when they're running, they're actually working their diaphragm, they're working their lungs. But when we sit in a chair all day long at a desk, and then we go out and we try to exercise, we're trying to exercise out all the bad things that happen during the day, but we're eating pastries, we're eating sugar and chemicals and all these different things. And we're overeating too, because a lot of the chemicals that are in the food make us hungry. And so we're eating and eating and eating, and we're putting more and more pressure on the digestive system. And there's no energy left to heal the body, because it's all being used in the digestive system. I hope that answered your question.
Well, I actually have another question about, like, okay, so Toni, you were talking about the herbs, and then Gary, you were talking about our body and the responses and things, and this show is all about, like, is it a detox or is it a disease symptom, or yeah, symptom. And so when some people take these herbs, we are not meant to take them that long. But how does one know when they should stop? Because how do you know if the herbs are working, which is creating that detox symptom that most of us are all familiar with? It looks like you're sick, but it's actually a detox symptom. So how do you know if that's what it is, or is it your body saying, you know what, I've had enough of that herb, I don't need it anymore? Can you guys maybe answer that question?
Yeah, it's like the watermelon. When you drink the watermelon and then all of a sudden you just realize it doesn't want any more watermelon. It's the same thing with the herbs. When the inflammation goes down, the pain goes away, then you don't need the herbs anymore.
So, like, if somebody is experiencing indigestion, would you say that then that's a sign that they don't need that anymore?
No, because it depends on what you're doing. See, so when I'm reading eyes, if I see a digestive issue, then I go to marshmallow leaf. And Dr.
Okay.
Morse has great stomach herbs as well, tinctures. I do herbs for people to make tea. And so marshmallow leaf will settle the stomach. I mean, not just when you drink it, but over time, it will settle the stomach. So if you're on it for, if you have 7 days and you have 1 to 2 cups a day, maybe 3, in with your regular diet, and the issue in your stomach goes away, then you don't need to take it anymore. With dandelion, dandelion is one of the most powerful herbs I've ever found, that and echinacea. But I use it with kidneys. And as it's going through, it's changing a lot of things in the body. Dandelion is. They all are. Cleavers, I do cleavers to open the lymphatic system. So that's not a suppressant, that's an opening. There are herbs that can suppress, but that's what all medications do. I don't know of too many that open, and my thing is with medication, synthetic meds, if they can make one that'll shut down your immune system, and they give that to people who have organs transplanted, then why can't they make one that would turn it on and nobody would get sick? So it's things like that. We just need to look at things in the opposite direction. Like we eat and we have all this food going in and we think that's what's making us healthy. Well, without a proper methylation process where it turns that over and takes out what it needs and disregards the rest, then we're not going to do well. So that's what we have to find as the body gets stronger and the organs and the glands get stronger and the bones get stronger and the breath is the electrical part of the body. You can turn up your metabolism with the breath. You can clean out toxins. You can get more power in your body if you can breathe and manage to utilize the oxygen that's going in and get it out to the cells. Almost every cell that's sick has three things, and that is dehydration, malnutrition, and lack of oxygen. So as we start to hydrate with fruits, berries, and melons, sometimes vegetables, you may have to start on those first to get your body up enough so you can get into the fruits, berries, and melons. Those things will start to heal the body in ways that synthetic meds cannot do, because they're suppressing everything, like especially a cold and flu-like symptom. That's what it does. It suppresses it so it can't make more mucus. And you think when it's over, it's done. But all it did was lock it into different places. So we need to open that up and get that out of there. And cleavers is a great one for that. So, because I have very few herbs that I use, and echinacea and dandelion and nettle and alfalfa. And I mean, you're not going to find stinging nettle is one of the most nutritious plants on earth. And whether people think we should have them or not, I think is irrelevant. We can't like sit down and eat a bowl of it. We just need a little bit. Every once in a while when I'm out walking, you can take a pencil. The leaves will sting the daylights out of you. That's why it's called stinging nettle. And you put a pencil under the bottom of the leaf and you push it down, take the pencil out and you roll it in your finger and it will not sting you because it's crushing all the little stingers. And then you pop it in your mouth and eat it and it won't sting you. You're not going to get a much more nutritious opportunity than that, to have that in your body. We spend billions or $1 billion of dollars every year to wash all the stuff off the outside of our body, and it all came from the inside, because that's what the body does. Takes what it needs, pushes the rest out. Well, why not wash the internal body too? And it takes liquids to do that. So as we wash and cleanse the internal body, the external body doesn't get all that stinky stuff on it. I was talking to somebody last night. I don't know if she'll be watching this or not, but she had an issue, and it was breast cancer. And she said, I can't remember, they either left 2 or 4 lymph nodes under her arm on that side. I don't know which side it was, but under her arm, all those lymph nodes, they took them all. But 2, she said, I can't remember if it's 2 or 4. I think that would be pretty important to remember. But anyway, so she has to go to lymphatic people all the time, because sometimes when she wakes up, her whole body is all backed up because it can't flow through that area. Actually, it goes up this way into here. So those are things that those are criminal. To leave a person in that way. And she said, oh, my doctor is great. He taught me everything to know about the lymphatic system. Yeah, after the surgery and you removed all the lymph nodes. In what world does that make sense? It doesn't make sense at all. We need to manually work our body. In this particular time, in this day and age, I think in 10 years, we can go back to the way it was, because I think we'll have some decent food again, and it'll actually be nutritious. So then we eat it, the body can separate it, and there'll be less to eliminate and more to absorb, to send to the cells. And it's time that this ended. And the kids coming up today, you can't trick those kids. There's many of them, they are like, and they don't really fit in the matrix. I didn't fit in the matrix. And that doesn't make me a genius by any means. These kids that are coming up today, they're born in the energy of the day. And that's why they get all this technology that we don't get. And when they get to be 30, some maybe in the late 20s, early 30s, the technology, the energy will have surpassed them. And the kids that are born then will be born in the energy of the day, and they'll get the new world. This is what's happening, and why a lot of people can't move forward. They don't understand that as the energy shifts and we don't, we get lost. I don't understand the world today. My mom and dad said the same thing. Nothing has really changed other than the chemicals that are in our food, and they're tasteless, they're odorless, you can't see them, but they have a frequency that interrupts our natural wave of whatever that organ, gland, or bone, or marrow, or whatever it is, and is causing a disruption. And over years, you can handle it when you're young. It's getting even so that the young can't do it because they're born with kidney issues and adrenal issues. But as we grow, our energy is getting weaker because we can't keep up with today. Mentally and physically, we're not able to keep up. But these kids that are coming in, they can. But they will age out of the energy as it shifts. And those who are able to shift with the energy, and a lot of that is breath, it's our hydration, our nutrition, and grounding to the earth, and having a great story. That's how we move forward with less issues. I don't know that we're going to get through without some issues. I know I've had plenty, and I'm sure everybody else has too, but that happens when you're young and you can't defend yourself. You get dragged to a doctor even if you don't want to go. It's like pets. One of my friend's dogs, we were in a field that he had 32 acres, and I was pointing out all the medicinal plants, and he goes, I never had a clue. And all of a sudden, his dog went over, and it was a big area of the same plants. Started sniffing through, and it found one, and it picked it and ate it. And then it went over, and it found something over here, and it picked it, and it ate it. And it just kept doing that. And Eric, my friend Eric, was like, I have never seen that dog do that. And then
my dogs did that. Not always, it was once
Yeah.
in a while. And she was just going around the yard until she found what she needed. And and I thought that was amazing. So I don't believe that herbs are inherently toxic to the
No.
body. They are little nature's helpers, and
Yeah.
whatever you specifically need will grow in your environment. And that makes it interesting. I have a yard, so once in a while my husband he's the one picking what's so-called weeds, because we have to be weed free. We have an HOA. But if there is plenty of it, it's like, okay, let's look this up. It may be something that we need. So, this is how nature is.
Yes. Everything we need is right here. This is home. Nature is home.
Yeah.
So about 15 minutes after Eric's dog ate all that, it threw up. And then it just pranced off, and it was it was happy. But they intuitively know, because they haven't lost their connection with nature. It's like ayahuasca. When they asked the natives how they found out about ayahuasca, it was 2 plants. They said the trees told them. Well, they're in touch with nature, and the plants will tell you anything you want to know, but we're not quiet enough to, our mind is like just going all the time. We have to sit in silence. If you go sit in a field somewhere where there's a lot of nature around and bring a pen and paper with you, and you just listen, all of a sudden you'll start writing all kinds of things. And you can get that signal from the plants. I've done that. It's amazing. And the ideas that come to you are a lot different than they are when you're present. Because when you become no one, nowhere, no place, no time, everything, all the waves in your body level out, not level out flat, but they go to their specific harmonic balance. And that's when you heal. That's why healing is sleeping, because you're not present. Your mind is not present. You may have weird dreams or something, but which one of those is reality? The dream or this one? Are you actually awake when you're asleep? But the body, when you lay down, drains to hear. And it heals the body. And when you're in fight or flight, it shuts off the mind, it shuts off the throat, it shuts off, maybe other than hollering, it changes the frequency of the heart, and it shuts off your digestive system. Well, if you're in fight or flight 24 hours a day, you have weird vibrations running through your body, and it's going to make you sick. And I don't believe in disease. I believe in dis-ease, which is inflammation from trapped toxins. And when you move those out, the dis-ease goes away because the inflammation goes away.
It is also simple, Gary.
It's weird. It is so simple, it's hard to grasp. But
Well, I've been at this now and you much longer. I've been at this now for 6 years, and I keep learning, and I keep realizing more and more how simple it actually is. Not saying it's all easy to do,
no,
but once you make it really a part of your life, you start understanding more, and it becomes easier. It becomes really easier to do. The whole concept is easy, but it's sometimes, for many of us hard to do, especially when you're new to it. There's so much to unlearn and realize that we've been lied to. It is as simple as that. Oh, coming to that, I already mentioned it to you, Gary, in Messenger, but that video of 2 weeks ago that was removed.
yeah,
What is the word for it? Appealed it? Yeah.
yeah.
And it's back. So
All right.
it's back on YouTube.
All right.
I think the way that they remove it, it's just an AI. It's not a person, listening to things who does
Right.
it. It's an AI thing, and they hear something about the topic that you mentioned back then, and it's like, okay, this is not right, and then you remove it, and then a person actually does have to listen to it. So they decided that it was okay, so it's back up.
Excellent.
Yeah, this is the second time that it happened to me. The other time was when this is 3 years ago. We're talking about baby food. That was
Mhm. Yeah,
anyway.
and
We're already at over an hour and 50 minutes. Would you like to do the 6 lymphatic gates before we close up?
yes, yeah, I'll do that. And can I do 3 lion's breaths?
Of course.
Okay. So these are really important to do because we need to open the 6 lymphatic gates for the lymph so it can really start to flow through the body. And this will help eliminate inflammation. So I always start with my hands like this, and I put one finger right next to my neck above my collarbone. I'm actually touching the collarbone, and one below it. And then we go slide all the way out of the collarbone, and we do 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we go to the other side, and we do the same thing right in next to the neck and above the collarbone. You're touching the collarbone, both top and bottom, and we go out like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then we go behind the ear. This is gate 2. This is extremely important, this gate. I've had so many people that have head pressure or TMJ, and it's just fluids built up in the body. So right behind the earlobe, above the jawbone, there's a little hole right there. That's the largest lymph node in the neck. And when that swells, what comes out from the skull here are your arteries, there's veins, there's your autonomic nervous system comes out here, vagus nerve, okay? And when that swells, it starts to pinch that off, and you get less blood into the brain, and toxins start to build in the head. So we put our finger in there, and I draw down like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This is going to help your body so much you can't believe it. If it's sore, be very gentle. So then we do the other side, right behind the earlobe, just above the jawbone, and we drag down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This will help reduce forgetfulness, dementia, Alzheimer's, brain fog, okay? Because if these are clogged, it can't drain down to gate 1, which we just opened right here. And it's all gravity fed, because the brain uses so much energy that it needs that constant feed to come down here. These gates have to be open, because if not, it'll back up in the head and you get plaque, you get all kinds of things going on up there. So we did gate 1, gate 2, gate 3 is right where the shoulder rolls into the chest plate. Okay, and you can actually, if you want, just rub back and forth if you can't find that groove. And then you go under the arm and shake all that area up. And right down even the lower rib cage. The lower rib cage doesn't get a lot of love, so it doesn't move around a lot. And then this is not part of that gate, but I like to do this. This helps move things over to the gate and get right up next to where the sternum and the ribs connect, and get right in there and dig right in and move all those toxins over to that gate. This will help prevent breast cancer and all kinds of things. So then we go over here and in the groove, or you can rub, you can do both if you want. And you can do this as many times a day as you want to. If it's sore though, be careful. Try to work around it, because we need to open up the tissue around it so that it can drain too. It's so full that it's pain, that it's causing pressure, inflammation, and we want to get that down. And you can use the this compression machine too. These things are awesome. I just had somebody get in touch with me and they love theirs. Okay.
You know
can
what,
use-
Gary? Oh, sorry. I was
Yep.
gonna say I've been doing a juice fast, and I
Yep.
noticed that I've been moving lymph and because I've been coughing mucus and stuff, but
Yep.
even on my left side, I've noticed that I am more tender there. So
Yes.
when you say take it easy, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because it's stuck and we need to loosen that tissue up. So you just do it gently. And because moving tissue is moving tissue, it doesn't matter. If there's no pain there, you can really get in there and dig around. But if there's pain there, you just want to go around it and lightly, even lightly around it. And you can go over it if you want. But if there's pain there, healing is not about pain. All right. So then, might have already done that. I don't know. But
I was
down
going
on
to ask, how often do you do this during the day, Gary? Because I don't think you've ever mentioned that.
So say that again.
How often do you do this during the day?
As much as you want.
Okay.
Yep.
Feels good.
Oh, well, all your energy meridians and your electrical system is starting to wake up. That's why it's important to do it first thing in the morning, especially this one right here, because your vagus nerve is right here in your stomach. And if you just gently rub your stomach, you can feel your body. You can feel your electrical system coming alive. And if you have a weak electrical system somewhere where things aren't working quite the way they should, the breath and this particular move will turn it on, and it'll regenerate those areas. And let's say it was your elbow and your forearm and your hand aren't very strong. It'll regenerate that electrical flow, and you'll get the energy back in your hand or your leg or whatever it is. Remember, S, 2, 3, and 4 is down here at the tailbone. That's what keeps your butt off the floor. It's your ability to stand up. And if you're having a hard time standing up, that's where the issue is. C3, 4, and 5 up here in the neck, which is why we do some neck things, right? Stretching, and then that area is connected to your diaphragm, and it is part of your breathing, your automatic breathing. And then we can manually take that over. So let's do gate 4. Inhale through the nose. You want to see your hands move out, okay? And there's all kinds of things happening in the head. Your head actually expands. Your cerebellum moves, and the pineal gland is in there, and it starts to shake it. And if you do that long enough, it'll start to build energy. And that is a very powerful thing. All right. So then we exhale all the way out, try to touch your belly button to your spine, and you go, and you start rubbing back and forth, and you go right around the belly button. This is what gave you life, was your belly button. That's where you came from. So it's important to work these whole areas, and then the heels back and forth. I'll just kind of go through these next gates kind of quick. Then we tap. All right, we're opening the gates so that the lymph can flow through to get up here to gate 1. Gate 5, knife edge. You can go above, below. When we turn our hands in, so the full palm on the inside of the legs, a lot of lymph nodes right here. All right. Then behind the knees, there's a pump there. And all your fluid that goes into your knee, speaking of dehydration, arthritis, right? You rub the top of the calf right up behind the knee, and you slap. And that opens that gate, because the blood and the lymph has to come from back here to get into the knee. There's other things we do in class too, but right now we're just doing the gates. So if you want to rub, tap. And that's the 6 gates. And I would do 3 lion's breaths. We do a lion's breath. We breathe in through the nose. This is clearing the lungs. So when the air goes in, it goes deeper into the lungs for more oxygen blood transfer. So we breathe in through the nose, tip our head back and smile, releases endorphins and dopamine, so that the cells can relax. And give your body permission to relax when you exhale. So we're going to inhale through the nose. We're going to tip our head back and smile. We're going to hold. And then we're going to stick our tongue all the way out. And I do this a little different than a lot of people. So when we get there, we're working the nervous system and the energy meridians. Stick our tongue out and we go. Right back up. We're going to do 3. So inhale through the nose, head back, smile. Lion's breath, exhale. And try to have your exhale go as long as it takes you to go all the way down and all the way back up to your chest. The exhale turns on parasympathetic, rest, digest, and heal, right? And the inhale, if it's something fear-based, it will turn on the sympathetic nerve, which is fight or flight. So inhale through the nose, head back, smile. From different states and met people. Lion's breath, exhale. All right, one more. Here we go. Let's just catch our breath for a second. All right, here we go. Inhale through the nose, head back, smile. Nice breath, exhale. And we usually do 3 to 5 in the classes. But anything to open up that throat and get those toxins out. Now you're really ready to start doing Qigong. You're ready to start your breath work and your movement. But you can feel your whole body come alive when you start tapping it like that. And that's one of the keys to healing. Okay?
That's a good thing to end this podcast with. Thank you so much, Gary.
Love you guys. Thank you for having me on.
As always, love you back, and thanks everyone for being here. I'm very happy with all the information that we get, that we can send out, that we can share. Thank you for being here, Katie. We see you all in 2 weeks from now, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving time with your family and friends and whoever. Enjoy life, and do us a favor and like and possibly even share this video so others can enjoy it and can learn from it and get on the right track with their health. So thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye-bye.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for doing all that, Gary. I feel really good.
Oh, excellent.